What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So today we're going to be checking out the best champions to climb with in 6.16 for each role, and quite a lot is kind of up in the air with 6.17 and worlds around the corner, but there are still some that just stand out. Make sure you let me know which picks you think are the best in the comments, and also what you want me to do for 400,000 subscribers. We just hit it on the channel, like it's awesome, so thank you guys very much. But if there's anything you want, like some coaching, giveaway, or some RP or something, let me know down below. Anyway, let's kick this off with the mid lane straight away, but let's point out, like, there are loads of good picks at the moment just because everything is kind of waiting for 6.17. So the popular ones like Ari, LeBlanc, Victor, they're still really solid for sure, but they're just like more safe, reliable mid picks, so you can't really go wrong with. That's not necessarily the best thing to climb with though. That's what this video is about. So Annie is going to be taking a number 2 spot. She's very good at punishing mistakes, which is kind of the biggest thing I think overall. Like, anyone who gets too close to you, you can kill them very easily. Like, even in the team fights, you have stuff to engage with. The lane phase is the biggest thing. So like, the enemy player gets behind, right? You get some damage. Now you can just like insta punish every single time you have your ultimate. It's like the most tilting thing ever. People just don't know how to play against it, I guess, and it gives you the ability to control the game properly, which is great, and engage when it's good for you. You can literally one-shot people, which is not too common in this kind of meta, and you're good at roaming as well. Like, you can roam an ult from range, stun for the rest of the team to follow up afterwards. People say Annie is very easy, and it kind of is. Like, you're easy to farm with, you do well in lane, simple kit, but it's the thing that like allows you to focus more on the how you use it part of the game. You have to go balls deep on Annie, right? It sounds kind of a bit wrong, but you can't start building like a pussy basically. You build damage to blow everyone up. That is your job. You do struggle versus high range poke though, because you can't really get close, but that's not going to be too big of a problem at the moment. That's not really too meta, except for our number 1 pick. Vel'Koz is going to be taking this, and I think this guy is too strong at the moment. Like, it might surprise you. He's not played very often, but he's seriously good. The thing is, he doesn't really have much of a downside really. Like, you can basically always have an impact no matter what is happening in the game. It's really on you as a player, which is the best thing. In the lane phase, you can like stay really far back. It's so hard to screw this guy to actually like beat him. He's gonna poke with his Q and W. It's low cooldown, low mana cost. You can farm from really high range. If you try and punish him, like you try and go aggressive, he's just gonna poke you and you're gonna take free damage, which really sucks. And he has so much kill potential as well. W into Q into ult is death from so far away. Your ultimate can ruin an entire team fight. This is something I want to highlight because a lot of mages like Ari or Anivia, for example, do a ton of single target damage, right? Vel'Koz though could do ton of damage to all 5 people on the enemy team. You're gonna get ahead, you're gonna get some damage, and you can literally do everybody's job for them on your team. Like, this video is all about who can carry and climb the ladder, right? Vel'Koz suits it perfectly because he is a one-man army. You can do so much from so far away on his own. You don't have to be reliant on your team, and you can really carry. Let's talk about AD carries next. Everything is kind of weird with them right now, especially with the massive 6.17 changes coming, but I think there was like a clear top 5 basically. These guys dominate the other AD carries. Ashe, Jhin, Sivir, Jinx, and Kog'Maw. They stand out as much better, but let's take the best out of those and then add another one who is a bit more underrated. So Miss Fortune is my underrated one. She could actually compete with these, I think, for one of the top 5 spots as well. And it's kind of because of like Miss Fortune has this reputation, but it's not really how it actually is. She has the rep of being an amazing early to mid game champion, right? Early AD, armor pen, and a lot of damage with the ultimate. Actually, she's very solid in the lane phase, but then doesn't perform massively well, but gets like better later into the game. Your ultimate scaling is insanely good. Like, more AD, crit, and armor pen you get, the more damage it is going to do. And normally abilities don't scale very well. Like, abilities are early game power, and auto attacks with the items are for late game. Miss Fortune is a weird exception for this, but basically the game is moving towards like snowball early really hard, or hold on until late game. The good thing is Miss Fortune can do both of these: compete early and do well so she doesn't get stomped that hard, but also perform really well and keep up late game with the ultimate damage. Now Jhin is going to be my best though out of all of the other picks I said before, like the ones that are dominating the rest. The one thing you have to bear in mind though is Jhin is not really a late game champion. Yes, he can do very well. His passive is a really good scaling for late game, but he's most effective early into the mid game. That is where his ultimate is really overpowered. Later you have kind of like tanks to block it, and it does more damage based off their missing health. So hitting a tank that doesn't really lose much health doesn't really work. In the lane phase though, you have like your 4th crit, the Q damage, the W snare, ultimate to finish from really far away. All of those things are very hard to deal with in like a 2v2 situation. The way you really abuse his pick and to kind of like actually win with it is to punish the lane phase, trade, kill, roam around, and long range snare ultimate to kill people mid game. From that, you're going to get towers, you'll get dragons, barons from those picks as well, and that is the big thing. To be honest, you can control the game a lot, which normally AD carries cannot do. You can set things up from so far away and kill people that far away. Like, you don't have to rely on your team to do that for you. So let's talk about the jungle. I think this is one where kind of like in mid lane, actually, there are are loads of different picks that are good. And again, though, there is this massive split. So early game and end it very quickly, or late game hold on and carry in team fights. That is really what the game is going to come down to more now in this meta. I don't know if you guys have noticed it as well, but that's really what you should be picking for. Our Skarner is our first one, definitely the second kind of choice in that, but instead of late game, it's kind of just holding on until mid game or your first 2 items. So he is our second jungler at the moment, but probably one of the most underrated champions in the entire game. Triforce though is just way too good on him. If you put it into perspective though, you have like a super average win rate before those 2 items, the jungle item and Triforce, but then after that it jumps up to be one of the best and it keeps getting better as well. At that point you have like the damage to literally one burst someone with your stun with Warrior and Sheen, so you are a real carry jungler. But if you want to get more tanky, you can go Cinderhulk instead. Either way, after that, the Triforce and the damage, you're going to get more tanky, so you can kill people but you don't die, and Cinderhulk is going to be more of a well-rounded build, I think, as well. It's not like as assassin-y as the other one, but you can survive a lot longer, so whichever suits your team more. The real reason, in my opinion, that he's basically got the highest win rate in the entire like game in every single region is because he dumps on any squishy carry jungler that we're seeing a lot of. So before I tell you number 1 and you guys rip me apart, the game is about holding on for late game team fights or being really effective early, right? That is what we just said. Well, Amumu actually does both and is very solid at every single stage of the game, which in my opinion is why he's the most well-rounded and reliable jungler you can carry with. So if your team is crap in the bed early, right, you can gank and ult with the crowd control and damage part. If your team needs engage, you can pick good fights as well. You are a tank kind of naturally, but you have a ton of damage at the same time, and that really checks like every single box, I think, at least. As super high elo, sure, you're going to get invaded way too much, but this isn't a video aimed at like challengers, right? For every normal elo, even up to high diamond, this guy is the best I think you can play right now. Having that kind of mix of damage and tank in your build is the real reason as well. Like going full tank on Amumu, I think is a waste. If you go like a mix of damage and tank, basically you're going to survive enough to engage and dive in, but then you'll kill people while you're there. It's like the best of both worlds, to be honest. So we're going to go to the top lane next, then round out with supports, mostly because these 2 lanes have not really changed much this patch. Now this second spot could actually be so many different champions, like Echo would be one of them, just because if you play him correctly and aggressively with this new Triforce build, I honestly think he's broken. That being said, it's all about learning like limits and going in at the right times. If you mess it up, you're literally going to do nothing. So it's a bit of a risky pick unless you're really good with him. Darius though is still like extremely solid and a good pick when there are so many early game carry champions flying around. He's always going to be much better earlier into the game. He falls off a bit later because you can kite him and he doesn't really have the damage to keep up with other people, but if you get a reset and he's fine, like, right, that's not as easy when everyone has more health and defenses. Now saying that, being a mix of damage and tank is actually a good thing early to mid game for sure. You can do a ton, but you have to kind of spank your lane really and then come down into team fights and use that damage. A lot of Darius players will kind of sit top, crush their lane, but just try not to snowball the entire rest of the map, and then they're going to fall off later. I do honestly like the fact that you can do so much damage with just Black Cleaver though. It makes you a strong pick for your team at least, while providing some kind of threat. Plus there's just that chance that you're going to reset and literally demolish everyone in Dunk City. He's probably going to be the most well-rounded top laner at the moment who is capable of actually carrying himself and doing a lot of work. Gangplank is still going to be the best top laner I think you can actually play, and actually one of the best mid laners as well. He's really good. There are a few different reasons though. The first one is no pressure, so you farm in lane, you get items, and eventually you can carry with insane damage from really far away. It's a very easy to play style to play in the lane phase. Triple barrels into your ultimate combo is something a lot of people are figuring out now as well, but it's super easy to do. You set up your barrels kind of like the first one out of Vision maybe. You triple barrel to do like 75% of a mid laner or an AD carry's health after a few items anyway at least, and then you finish them off with your ultimate upgraded to have the middle first shot do way more. Now that is a one-shot combo. That leads to so many different advantages because you're always going to be basically playing 5v4 when you've one-shot someone. Like, be proactive, try that, and trust me, you're going to carry so much harder. So the ultimate bot lane gank is another one though. You get the jungler to go down, you ultimate behind the bot lane, and they have nowhere to run. It's really effective and super easy to pull off as well, even in solo queue. Gangplank in my opinion just does way too much damage with this arm pen build, at least like for 2 items, and then keeps ramping up and up, right? Before it would take like 3 or 4 to really carry, now it can do it with just 2. So let's end this with these supports then. So we're going to have Soraka and Sona, and to me it's actually pretty interesting because it's the perfect split of early game versus late game. You'd think both are actually good at all stages, but it's not really like that at all. Sona is way more about the late game now after her nerfs and the healing focus, focus. Her strength is really in the ranks in her ultimate and items more than anything else, which is very rare for a support. The more cooldown reduction she gets from her ultimate for her abilities, the more she's going to be able to heal, and the more items she gets, the more those heals actually help. It's also because most people play her like a bloody mid laner right now. They stack damage and AP on her, and she has amazing AP scaling, so she'll be packing a serious punch later into the game. Soraka is more like the opposite though. She's impossible to play against in the lane phase, and mid game she's so hard to focus or get through her healing on other targets. She is definitely not bad late game at all, like not at all. She's still really effective, but in my opinion, much better in the first half of games, and that is where she can really like control the game and impact it more. It's a free lane for AD carry really. If you fight, you should always win as long as you don't die personally, and you have a decent amount of poke as well, which actually creates some kind of pressure. But yeah, honestly, we're still in this kind of like healing support meta, especially with these items buffing it and immobile AD carries to protect and keep alive. Sona is more late game focused though, and Soraka more early. That is how you should kind of like try to play around them at least. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to let me know what you want to do for 400,000 subs, and also just what champions you think are best right now. And thank you very much for 400,000 subs. Honestly, it means the world to me. But I'm going to leave you for today with the robots.